I would like to continue the journey into this beautiful chess book, 50 Essential Chess Lessons, with a game from the chapter on piece power. And this game is very interesting because white is Makogonov and black is Keres. Many will not know who is Makogonov, but I learned from Adrian Michalchishin, senior FIDE trainer, grandmaster all his life, a chess professional, that once he said there is the Makogonov principle. What is the Makogonov principle? That you must find in your army the piece that is not doing anything, and you must try to activate that piece. Okay? This was played in a training tournament in Leningrad and Moscow in 1939. So probably I don't know if the war already started, but that's it. Here we see a classic illustration of the power of a bishop pair in the middle game. Having exchanged bishop for knight early on, black makes the mistake of opening the position up, after which the white bishop slices through the enemy position in devastating style. So Makogonov opens with d4 and Keres plays e6. After c4, after c4 there is bishop b4 check, and then after knight c3 there is f5. This hybrid of a Dutch Nimzo Bogo Indian was a lifelong favorite of Keres, although it failed to achieve much popularity with most other top players. And white immediately attack with queen b3. He says white immediately sets out his stall. He prepares to attack the bishop with a3 without allowing his pawns to be doubled after the exchange on c3. In this way, white can expect to gain the bishop pair without damage to his pawn structure. So I'm generally skeptical of this queen takes c3, but if he really played a3 and then plays queen c3, well, that's good, because you have removed the queen from being in front of a pawn b2, so the pawn can be pushed, and eventually even the bishop goes on b2, so all the pieces are landing in the right squares, and that's what you want to do in your opening, to have all your pieces in the perfect squares that don't block the pawns from gaining the space you need. Okay, so let's see what he says. Okay, obviously the price white pays for this, it's a kind of slowing up the development, but hey, it makes sense to me. To me it makes sense, or at least this is a position I would like to play as white. Queen e7, e3, bishop takes e3, and queen takes c3. Knight f6. g3, very good move, because the truth is against the Dutch this kind of diagonal is important. d6, so this is the classical Dutch. Knight f3, b6, bishop g2, and bishop b7, and now of course castle and castle. I believe maybe they have played these moves kind of fast, because it's everything very logical. And now, like I told you before, boom, this is great. This is immediately great. And notice, yeah, maybe white has a slow development, but watch this, it's amazing. Here black played knight bd7, and I don't know if you really instead want to attack immediately that, I don't know. Okay, and after that there is bishop b2 and the diagram. And here there is an extended note that I will read to you. So, this is a very typical position for this opening. Black has developed his pieces comfortably and has a good grip on the e4 square, which he will occupy with a knight. In the case of passive play by white, he can opt to develop an initiative on the king side, in typical Dutch defense fashion. White, on the other hand, has the two bishops and more space on the queen side. He will look to generate play on the queen side, most obviously by organizing the break c5. So this is the pawn break that we should know about. At present the bishops do not look more powerful than black's knights, particularly in view of a juicy outpost on e4. Yeah, but unfortunately the juicy outpost on e4 goes away when the other guy plays knight d2 and then f3, I don't know. However, in the longer term, white can opt to arrange f3, like I just said, to evict the knights from his central outpost. And if he is able to open the position up by a pawn break such c5 or d5, then his bishops may come into their own. Most grandmasters would consider that white has slightly the better long-term chances in such a position, but to some extent this is a matter of taste. Yeah, in this position you must kind of be careful, okay? And you will see why. Okay, not that I have seen the game, but I know the Dutch, and so it's a kind of a mess here already. So, black here played c5. Black understands that white is going to prepare c5 sooner or later, so he was avoiding this, because he could open the diagonal, right? Okay. And therefore takes immediate steps to prevent the move. However, we have noted already that it is often strategically risky to make pawn moves in the area of a board where one stands worse, and black's plan is open to the objection that it breaks with this rule of thumb. In particular, white now has the possibility of the later exchange d takes c5, opening the long, dark a1, h8 diagonal for his b2 bishop, or well, also for giving checkmate in case one forget. Since white does not at present threaten c5, black should perhaps have played on the other side of the board with 12, knight e4. Like I tell you, yes, knight e4 good, but that knight will be evicted from that, and then you find that this is kind of weak because it's not protected. It's a mess. However, the problem is that here you are missing the pieces for launching the attack on the king side. Generally you like to have this bishop on this diagonal that goes here, then the knight goes on g4 and the queen jump from d8, e8, h5. That's the maneuver that obviously you know, Makogonov and Keres probably knew because they were grandmaster level, and so they cannot really play it like that. Okay, so he played c5 and Makogonov played rook f d1, knight e4, queen b3, because this square b3 it's better than this, in the sense that at a certain point the weakness that you have because you move the pawn, the f pawn to f5 becomes a problem. Okay, knight d f6, and now there is d takes c5. and now white has a good diagonal, right? So what? That's why he made a note, because it makes sense. If he takes with D, then the diagonal is real, because up to the moment black can play e5, this is not good. But now black has a problem here, because when also he takes with this become a backward pawn and something that can be attacked, right? So let's see what happens. B takes e5, and now as you can see there is also the problem of this. So I believe I would love to be white in this position. Now, what do you think white is going to play? Because this is an interesting move that I told you it was based on this kind of weakness that black has on the diagonal, on the other diagonal. White played knight d2. And here it says an excellent move, challenging the strong knight on e4 and freeing the f-pawn to drive the knight away. In a previous game, Keres had reached an almost identical position against Max Ove, who had played the weaker move b5. Although it looks tempting to create a queenside pawn majority in this way, the release of pressure from the c-file square frees black's hand to counter in the center and kingside, and Keres went on to create good counter chances in that game. Okay, so obviously nobody takes, no? And you need to remove this from this diagonal. So black played rook a b8, and of course you want to defend this because there is a possibility of taking, right? And here it says, by pressurizing white's b4 pawn, black still opts to induce the advance b5, but Makogonov refuses to be tempted. So what do you think Makogonov did? It's a very annoying move in the Dutch that they always play, and I think now you know it. f3. So why this move is very annoying? Because yes, for a moment makes this bishop bad, right? But it takes away e4 forever, and you cannot do anything about it. So it's terrible. Black played knight takes d2, rook takes d2, and now there is a move that Giddins consider a mistake, which is bishop a8. Here it says the start of a series of second-rate moves, which rapidly reduces the black position to rubble. Black should probably try to use his central pawn majority. So what does that mean? That he should play d5, eliminating the potential backward pawn weakness on d6, and hoping to follow up with d4 and e5, establishing a powerful pawn center, which would stifle the white bishop on b2. So as you can see from this game, we can also learn how to counter in the Dutch. And why is this important? Because at this point, maybe as black you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do, it's a fact. And here it gives you something to do. So d5, it seems, is better than bishop a8. Of course, it would be interesting to know if this book has been computer checked, because maybe it wasn't computer checked. Who knows? Let's see. How does white continue here with queen e3? And now there is another dubious move by Keres, which is f4. Here it says the move is justified by the fact that both captures, g takes f4, queen takes f4, give black good play. But obviously Makogonov is not silly and he doesn't want to give anything to Keres, right? So obviously he didn't capture. However, here there is a line that shows why g takes f4 is not so good, okay? And in case you don't see it, let me help you with this. For example, if he plays g takes f4, black plays knight h5, attacking it, and there is nothing to defend it. If he plays queen takes f4, white plays knight e4, attacking that and attacking that, right? So that's the tactical reason. Then of course read the book and you will find out more about it. That's what I can see in a few seconds. But obviously white played a better move. What is the better move that white played in this position? Queen d3. And now that the tactical thing doesn't exist anymore, black takes. But taking, in my opinion, it's over, because after f take g3 and h take g3, yeah, this is still weak. It may be attack, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Rook f d8, so black gave up the dream of attacking on the king side. Queen e3, and again there is what is considered a mistake. As you can see, it's important to see a game like this, because maybe sometimes it would be difficult to find all these mistakes. Black played c takes b4. This is the final positional capitulation, opening many more lines for white's pieces, especially his bishops. However, black's position is already very uncomfortable, and it is not easy to suggest a good move for him. White next move is going to be what? What do you think is going to be? Well, obviously is bishop h3, because he wants to attack also this. So the difference in this position again is the activity of the pieces. Black activity, and this you can see it in many games, right? You can see that in many games one side is very active and the other side is not threatening anything, so it's just in his own territory, right? Okay, so what happened is that after e takes b4, rook takes b4, there was rook takes a7, and here black returned back with rook b7. But like I told you, back foot pawn, right? So what is the next move by white? Is rook a6, and here it says if black hoped that the simplification would help him, he was sorely mistaken. And this is again, that's why in the beginning he said there is this rule of thumb. Well, we have seen that the rule of thumbs are always violated over and over and over. It's terrible, right? In this case, as you can see, what was the simplification? They tell you that when one side is attacking, you try to exchange pieces, material, because the attack will go away. But not in this case, not in this case. And now he says white's queen's rook is now extremely active on a6, attacking the weakness on d6, and the bishops will soon augment the pressure from e3 and h3. Look how interesting it is. They are not even using the main diagonals, they are using these side diagonals. So that is very interesting. And here the author's judgment is black is strategically lost. That's incredible, right? Black is strategically lost. Terrible. Okay, so what does black play? Rook c7, attacking the pawn that is left. And white continue with bishop h3, attacking the other pawn. e5 and bishop a3, because now there are really a lot of forces. It's starting to be a mess. And notice black is only on the full defense, knight e8, so it's really not doing anything. Everything is by white, and this is what happens in this kind of positions. When one side it's really attacking, it's easier for the defensive side to make mistakes. Obviously, if you are a computer, no, you don't make mistakes, but if you are a human, you do. Here there is a comment by the author that says, a striking illustration of a complete triumph of white's bishop pair strategy. All of the black pieces have been driven into complete passivity, while the two white bishops slice through the black position from either side of the board. All that remains is to force the decisive tactical breakthrough. So now, guys, try to get your clock, turn it, think for a couple of minutes, and try to find what is white next move, okay? Because it's kind of important, and this will teach you chess. Makogonov played c5, and of course here you need to have done your analysis, which is that after d takes c5, bishop takes c5, the queen cannot defend the rook d8, right? While you need to have done your analysis, right? So what do you do on d5? Because if you just say, oh, I would play this, and you don't do the analysis, you're going to lose the game. Now, because you will find that unfortunately there is a move you didn't consider that actually works. So the problem of d5 is the following. Let's see if you see it. It's rook e6, okay? And the e5 pawn is gone. Okay, so what do you do in this case? Black played rook c6, and of course white continue with c takes d6, because the queen is kind of more important than the rook. Knight takes d6, and here there is a problem, right? Rook takes d6, and rook c takes d6. Of course, now what do you think white did? White played bishop takes d6, because if you play this, boom, the bishop a8 is gone. So that's the kind of problem, right? So black tried to defend with queen b7, but again, now you see the power of the bishop pair, and I'm really happy to have seen this game, because I never saw something like this. Generally I see the two bishops here that they attack in this way, but I never saw two bishops on the side like that. So that's kind of very exciting and a beautiful game. Bishop e6, check, king h8, queen b6, threatening a back rank mate, rook e8, and here there is bishop takes e5, queen e7, and the last move of the game is rook a7, and here Keres resigned. Okay, obviously you cannot take here, because after it takes, rook takes here, and it's a back rank checkmate, because you have to go back and it takes again, right? But look how the position is beautiful in a sense, right? Here it says the essential lessons. And this is the good thing of this book. At the end of the game, it gives you 3 lessons that you should take from this game. I hope that you loved it. I did, honestly. I wasn't aware of this beautiful game by Makogonov. Makogonov, I don't think he has been ever a very top player, but he was really influential. Because as top players of the period, of course, we know Botvinnik, we know Keres, but I don't think we know Makogonov. And of course, he must have been a great player too. I thank you for watching. See you next time.